Hello, my amazing viewers. Welcome back once again to Pig Farming Academy. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about an important aspect of pig farming that most pig farmers ignore. Most pig farmers think that pig farming is all about breeding, feeding your animals, housing, and some of these aspects. There is this aspect that they ignore that can bring a lot of consequences to your farm that can lead to mortality, loss of weight gain, like loss of weight gain, and all those things. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about this aspect. I'm going to be discussing this aspect, not just like discuss it, but I will break it down into section that you as a beginner pig farmer would get to understand it in a layman's language. So please make sure you pay attention and equally subscribe to this amazing channel if you are still new to this channel, so that you get to get more updates from me, because I'm going to talk about a lot of things in the pig farming world. Also, I would like to let you know that I published a book titled The Pig Farmer's Journey. This book, what makes this book special is that it is not just a random technical book that teaches you how to breed, how to feed. No, this book teaches you pig farming from the lens of someone that has lived it, someone that has raised animals, that has raised pigs from secondary school. After my work examination, that was when I started my pig farming journey. After my work examination, I started my pig farming journey, and up to this very moment. So I showed you the steps, the strategies I employed during this period of my life. I probably narrated the story behind how I got to start this pig farming business from that early age. So make sure you grab a copy. I'm going to drop the link to this book in the description box of this video. So make sure you grab a copy, read and understand the principles I taught in that book, because I explained about the breeding sector, the housing sector, the drug sector, that is the health management, the preventive dose I make use of, and how I managed to reduce the cost of feeding these animals by employing the strategy of the maggots. So get to read this book, then apply the principles in your farm, because principles, if you apply principles anywhere, you will get the same result. So apply these principles and get the same result that I have. Okay, so guys, let me go into the order of the day, which is this aspect that most pig farmers ignore. This aspect is the health aspect, it is the drug aspect. Once you get hold of this drug aspect, you have achieved a lot already in the pig farming world. Most pig farmers ignore this aspect because they'll be like, oh, my pig is not sick, so why will I inject it? It's doing well, why will I inject it? Forgetting that there are certain drugs that are classified under routine strategies. So before I go into this aspect, I'm going to talk about what drug routine is. Drug routine is like a planned system of drug intake for animals. Drugs like the dewormers, the vaccination programs, the vitamins, name them, even iron dextra plus that you give to your piglets 3 to 5 days after farrowing. They are all under drug routines. Despite the health status of these animals, you still get to give them these drugs. Why? Because you understand the implication behind not giving them these drugs. For instance, my sow, when it's pregnant during the period of gestation, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, I inject it with this iron dextra plus for each month, even until the day it farrows. Then on the 3rd or 4th day, I inject the piglets. I only have so many other drugs I give to them. The drugs that will avoid stillbirths and avoid them, make them to lactate and all those things. I have all these drugs, the vaccines. I talked about drugs in particular in one of my videos, so go ahead and check the channel. I talked about drug where I explained the vaccines I make use of and so many other drugs I make use of in the pig farming world. Go ahead to the channel and watch the video to completion. So guys, when it comes to this drug aspect, most pig farmers joke with it, and at the end of the day, they end up blaming themselves. So you as a beginner pig farmer, what I'm here to do is to guide you towards taking the right steps, taking the right decisions. And I can assure you that this drug aspect is something that you will not like to joke with. If you intend to start pig farming or you already have a farm, I assure you that you should not joke with this drug aspect. Understand it clearly by the book. Understand each lines. So like I said, drug routine, that there are drugs that you give regardless of the health status of the animal. Drugs like iron dextra plus, the dewormers, the vitamins, you give it to the animals. So it's a planned health program. Drug is not just about when the animal falls sick. That's one of the mistakes that most pig farmers make. They wait until the animal falls sick before they get to, oh, this animal is sick, let me inject it. Let me tell you something. When an animal falls sick and you get to inject it and it recovers. It will take its time, to even take you more cost to get it to that same level, that level you should have attained. That is why I stand by the belief that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is what? Better than cure. You maintaining your your drug routine comes with a lot of benefits like reduced mortality, improved growth, good appetite for your animals, and equally builds the immunity of your pigs. There are some time that people will be complaining near my farm region that there is a disease roaming around killing all their pigs and all those things. But due to the fact that I've stick to these drugs that I give to my pigs, regardless of their health status, I will get to see that their immune system kind of resist some of these diseases, thereby protecting my farm in a certain kind of way. So you as a pig farmer, make sure you stick to this drug that I spoke about in the previous videos. It's going to benefit you in ways that you can't even imagine. Because when your pigs don't fall sick, there will be faster growth. That means it will cost you less to raise them. And when it costs you less to raise them, then that means better profit, of course. More sales. Because pigs that are not affected by disease definitely performs well. They perform better than pigs that are what? That are sick. So guys, don't make the mistake of thinking that you can escape from the consequences of avoiding these drugs. I've been to so many farms where I've said this before. I saw a woman that owns a pig farm. She said that she doesn't give some of the drugs I give, drugs like iron dextra plus. I went there to help her with some of her sick pigs. Then she had some sows that farrowed. Then I asked her if she had given them to the Extra Plus and vitamins and other drugs required in the third or fourth day. She said no, that she hasn't done that and all that. I was like, why don't you do that? She said that she hasn't done that. She hasn't been doing that like ever since she started her farm, and she has been getting away with it. Do not do that, guys. Do not. So please, before I continue, I want you to ask your questions in the comment section in any aspect of pig farming that you have questions about. Just ask it. I'm going to answer you. Okay. Also, I'm going to be dropping my number right away, so you can message me on WhatsApp if you have any questions. 080-588-11642. Message me, ask your questions, and I'm going to give you answers. So there are so many consequences of ignoring the drug routine. Like I said, the poor weight gain, increased mortality, and so many other things. So let's get into the major aspects of this drug routine. Okay, so let me talk about this drug aspect. There is this mistake that most people must make when it comes to this drug routine. When you get a drug, for instance, let me say iron dextra plus, and you make use of the 5 ml syringe, for instance, the disposable ones. Most pig farmers do not dispose this syringe. You know the consequences of that? They will keep on repeating that same syringe after inserting it into the muzzles of the animal. They will still use it to extract drugs. After extracting drugs again, they will still keep the syringe, repeat it again, keep on repeating it, while not knowing that they are introducing, even if it's not pathogens, but they are introducing some blood cells into the drugs. That's why you notice that there will be a chemical reaction in this drug over time. That's why you don't know that some drugs over time can turn to poison. So you giving the wrong medication, you giving expired drugs or even infected drugs, just so equal to you giving poison to your pigs. So you as a pig farmer, you need to understand certain principles. If you're not making use of the metallic syringe, the one that you sterilize, you have no reason to keep on repeating the 5 ml syringe. It's called disposable for a reason, and besides, it's cheap. So you have no reason to keep on repeating it. What I normally do is I would get the one I will make use of. For instance, I have like 5 sows that farrow in different rooms. I will get like 5 of this range. I'll use one, or maybe I'll get two for each of the rooms, for each of the sow litter, right? I will then use it for that one, for the ancestral plus drug I want to. Once I'm done, I will just dispose them all. That's just what you have to do. Okay, so that is one of the mistakes that most pig farmers make when it comes to this drug routine. Then the second one is waiting for an animal to fall sick. I think I've said something on this where I talked about that an animal that is sick and then being treated will not come back again to that same level that it should have attained. So you need to understand that prevention is what better than cure. Also, maintaining the right dose is very important. I want to talk about a very delicate aspect that if you miss, you will definitely not even succeed in the pig farming world. That is the poor record keeping. Most pig farmers, when it comes to this drug aspect, they don't know, they can't, especially when you have a big farm, you'll not be able to remember where, when, okay, the animal you injected last, the drugs that you need to inject this animal, if you have given it all those things. But you having a record is going to enable you to stick to a proper drug routine. So once you have your drugs right, you will stick to a better what drug routine. Have your record, have your what record the animals, each stage that they are, the piglets, the winners, all those things. Because I normally win my piglets at 1 month, 2 weeks, that's 1.5 months, sometimes 2 months, depends. Then after which I win them. After 1 week from there I win them. I normally deworm them. But there are so many other drugs that I give to them before then. So understanding these principles, then imagine me not recording all these things, then you have different rooms that you have to win, then you will forget about the one that you should inject with Andestra plus, or if you had injected this one, all those things. No, you need to have a proper record keeping, even aside from the drug world, in the normal inputs and outputs that occurs in the farm. You need to have a record keeping because it enables you, it gives you the base upon which you can then apply your principles. Okay, so let's go over to something that most pig farmers do not know. When it comes to this drug routine, there is something that I'll talk about. But before I talk about that, let me talk about deworming. You see, deworming is something that most pig farmers do not do, not because of they don't want to do it, but most of them don't really, let's say, they don't really understand the importance of this drug aspect, especially all these local farmers and all those things. Yes, they don't really see the view around it. So you have to deworm your piece. You can make use of the vermectin or the levamisole, right? For the vermectin, make sure you inject it subcutaneously. If you don't know how to inject this vermectin subcutaneously, please get someone that can do it because that's how it should be done. Subcutaneous injection. The vermectin is also for exoparasites and the for the ectoparasites and the endoparasites. So make sure you inject your animals with these dewormers at various stages. Like I said, I inject my pigs with these dewormers. That's my winners with these dewormers around 1 week after I win them. Also, I normally deworm my boa every six months. That's the mature one. I normally deworm them every six months. I have different routines, different deworming routines for different what pigs. Then when it comes to this, you building a simple health strategy, there is something that upon which all these drugs rely on. This is called the hygiene. You see, hygiene is like the foundation where all these drugs that I mentioned, all these drug routine, whatever I mentioned, relies on. If you don't practice a proper hygiene, it will just be like you trying to kill a weed from the top instead of you attacking the root. Once you cut out the root of the weed, definitely it will now shrink. What you now need to do is now to remove the weed from the tree. So once you just be like, okay, because so many farmers see drug as the final say. They see drug as the final say. Oh, once them just inject these pigs with these drugs. I've been to some farms where they leave the droppings of their animals for days, like 3 4 days before even packing it out. No. You as a pig farmer should understand the principles of hygiene, even aside from your animals for yourself too. You need to pack out the droppings daily, on a daily basis, because once you leave these droppings there, flies can perch on it, dropping pathogens, which can then incubate, which can then, due to the heat, it can then incubate, then they can now feed on it. Once they feed on these pathogens, they will begin to fall sick. It might not be something that will happen so fast, but to accumulate over time, you get to see the effects. So you removing these droppings daily would help to remove these pathogens, at least a greater amount of it from their reach. which in a way indirectly you are just preventing your animals from becoming sick. There are certain things, all these strategies that they mention to you, you might think is just for doing sake. No, there are principles behind that, there are reasons behind that. It's not just something that we just woke up and be like, oh, we have experienced this. We have even done the opposite when we were still coming up. Then we now realize that, oh, if you actually want to get this right, you need to do this in a certain kind of way. So we don't just wake up to talk about you sweeping your. When I started my pig farming around 2021 thereabout, it's I swept it 2 times in a day. I swept it 2 times in a day, and I saw the advantage because the animals were very, very healthy. You are very, very healthy, and not just healthy, very clean. I'll check if I can still find old pictures, old videos of those animals. They are very, very clean because when you see these animals, when you see their pens often, you get to realize that their skin will be very clean. Because there are some pigs that you come into the farm, and then if you get close to the animal, you begin to see the rashes, that's eating up into the skin, and then they can make holes, they can make scratches into the skin where pathogens can enter. And in one way or the other, once they get their way into the bloodstream of these animals, they can begin to damage organs. So if you want to become a successful pig farmer, I'm here to guide you. So follow the details, follow the strategies I'm going to tell you. I've been telling you throughout these videos. Follow the strategies, and I assure you that you will get the result. It will not cost you anything. If you can't do it by yourself, if you have a worker that does it, fine. But just know that if you want to get a successful, healthy farm, make sure hygiene should be your priority. Not just hygiene in the environment. I spoke about proper drainage system in the previous video, whereby you need to have a proper drainage that removes the urinary matter. Because once you leave the urinary matter in the environment of your pigs, to attract vectors, bring pathogens, a lot of things. So if you have a proper drainage system, you equally practice good hygiene, both in the feeding sector, both in the drug sector, you practice proper hygiene, you get to see that your animals will be very, very healthy and agile. That is the purpose of every farmer. You always want to wake up and see that your animals are doing well. So guys, you as a beginner pig farmer, you being here, you watching this video means that you are seeking knowledge, and the purpose of knowledge is to enlighten. And I'm very sure that I've enlightened you, I've opened your eyes to begin to see pig farming more than the concept that you have it already in your head. It's something that should be delicately done. Once you apply the principles right, you get the result. So guys, as a bonus to this video on the drug aspect, I'm going to explain to you one of the strategies I use to reduce the cost of feeding my animals, which is the principle behind the maggot production. So what I do when I get the droppings from these my pigs, I don't just discard it to grow crops and all those things. Yes, the purpose is to reduce the cost of feed. Mind you, why trying to reduce the cost of feeding your animals? You don't just reduce the cost, but rather you find a way to manipulate the cost and still maintain the nutritional components, right? So when I get the maggots I will grow from these droppings, I will then process it by washing with salt water, drying it, and then heating it up to kill pathogens. Then with this maggot, from this same maggots, I will get to feed my fish. And after feeding my fish, I will probably get to add to the animal feed, the pig farming feed, right? Because this maggot is a very proteinous meal. It helps them, it improves their growth rate. So you as a pig farmer, try to get ways, because major reason why when it comes to the feeding world, I can tell you I make use of PKC, Bambara nut chaff, that is Otroba, soybeans, blood meal, bone meal, all these things, yes. But when it comes to your location, you might not necessarily be able to find all these things. That's why I always say that feeding is more about your locality, where you are. But when you understand the concept behind the feeding world, you can be able to formulate your own feed. For instance, you are in China or Asia, you can go to your market, ask yourself, how do I get a cheap source of carbohydrate, a cheap source of energy? How do I get a cheap source of protein? How do I get a cheap source of vitamin? This. Once you now go for your market research, you can then ask yourself, okay, I've seen this, you have been able to see that one, right? They can now check the consistency. When you check the price, if it is budget friendly, you can actually the consistency. You can actually see this over and over again, and then in a good quantity that will be able to feed my animals. These are the concepts factors you need to put into consideration before formulating the feed of your animals. Mind you, this video is not about feed. This video is about the drug routine. I just gave you this one as a bonus tip to watching this video to the end, okay? So guys, before I conclude this video, I'm going to remind you once again to get the pig farmer's journey, because it teaches more than I can explain with mouth. It shows you pig farming from the view of someone that has lived it. So if you want to understand more in this pig farming world, grab a copy of this book, The Pig Farmer's Journey. I'll be dropping the link of this book in the description box of this video. So make sure you grab a copy, read it, and implement the strategies I taught in that video. This maggot strategy is one of the strategies I taught there. So make sure you grab a copy and then read. And also join the WhatsApp community that I've already dropped the link in the description box of this video. Ask your questions. I'll drop my WhatsApp number 080-588-11642. Message me from wherever you are in the world. Message me, ask your questions. I will always give you a response. Thank you very much, guys. I love you all. Goodbye.